big time banger at middleweight. We have Trevin Giles taking on Georgia's Roman Dolidze by way of Ukraine, training out of Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. Matt, for Roman Dolidze, 8-0. I can go over the grappling accolades, and I will. 2016 Oceania Regional ADCC champ, above 99 kilograms. He also won the FILA World Championships in 2013, above 99 kilograms. That was last year. The FILA did the World Grappling Championships. Roman Dolidze, your champ. And Matt, this guy is an absolute ball of fire. But he's not like the Fireball Kid. But he is a ball of fire. Because if you watch Roman Dolidze fight, you know exactly how good his grappling is. Now, a lot of people are going to fall into the trope of, well, is Roman Dolidze Mr. Vieira, Mr. Rodolfo Vieira? Such a good grappler, but his striking wasn't there. His striking defense wasn't there. Maybe, but not. Roman Dolidze, you want to see him strike. You want to see some exciting fights out of him. Go back and watch the fight against not David, but Michael Pasternak back with WWFC. It's a great one. It's a spinning backfish knockout. It's insane. The thing that I always worry about when I watch Roman Dolidze is he's switching stances. He's smiling. He's feeling it. And if you go back and watch his last fight against John Allen, the commentary team is all over it. This guy's way overconfident. He's wasting his movements. He's doing way too much. He's just got to simplify it and listen to his coaches and conserve his energy. Because you saw it in the first round, he has John Allen down. And he yells to Eric Nicks like, hey, coach, you want me to submit this guy? And then he doesn't. Now, he wins by decision. It was a split. It shouldn't have been. Dolidze won the fight. But if you go back and watch it, there's so many frustrating things where this guy's overconfidence can get him in some bad spots. And I'll talk about Trevin Giles too, but Roman Dolidze for me is one of those guys that, like my Piotr Jans and my Cyril Gans, like I've been following the guy, I'm expecting big things out of him. Here's the thing that I worry about. He made his pro debut years ago at heavyweight. Then he moved down to light heavyweight. Now, I'm going to pop the tweet up, but he did say in the last little bit he's been weighing consistently at 205 pounds, and he's been thinking of making the move down to middleweight. He's had opponents not want to take fights. Trevin Giles takes this fight because he was originally supposed to be taking on my guy, EFC and KSW vet, Dricus Du Plessis. Du Plessis out of the fight, Dolidze moves down to 185. I worry tremendously about the gas tank of Roman Dolidze.
It's tough to worry about something where you don't even know what he's going to look like yet. So I guess I'll focus more on that on question mark kicks. I hate to just dismiss what you had said, but again, it is hard to say what he is going to look like.
Still looks big on the Instagrams.
He still looks big on Instagram, and a lot of 185ers walk around to 205. So if he's consistently walking around there, I'm not that concerned about the weight cut. I'm concerned with the wildness of his strikes every single time he throws a punch in the UFC. And Trevin Giles, I don't think is going to be the guy to take advantage of this. But if Roman Dolidze ever fights like Robert Whittaker, it would be very, very bad for him. Now, I understand I'm comparing him to like one of the better fighters we've seen in the past 10 or so years, but really accurate strikers who can throw shots right down the middle are going to give Roman a lot of trouble because he loves to wind up. Not like Bubbles, more like Marge Simpson, but he winds up and then throws an uppercut and then throws an overhand instead of an uppercut. He does get very wild with his punches. The great thing is, if he lands, you're going to go down, but he doesn't always land, and it is a case of kind of a Zabit Magomed Sharipov where he's throwing all these crazy strikes and missing with the majority of them. And yeah, the commentary is really going to focus on, wow, look at the power. And if that lands, you're going to hear if that lands a lot in Dolidze's fights. And that's what does concern me a lot at 185. He's going to have to fight a lot of accurate strikers to really work his way up into the title picture. Even think of a guy who's barely even ranked. Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is Roman Dolidze's worst nightmare. He's going to let you throw all your wild punches and then wait to counter you with a big shot. Trevin Giles has decent power for this division. I wouldn't say he's got phenomenal power. He knocked out Bevon Lewis, but Bevon Lewis never looked that good in the UFC. He was a hyped up prospect, but we never saw the best version of him in the UFC, and that's just what it is. I'm sorry, Bevon. I hope you're not watching, but you never looked that good. Trevin Giles did look really good in that fight, but I do think it was a case of he looked good against a fighter who probably should have been in there with him. And you go back, even look at the James Krause fight. James Krause, on 3 days' notice, went up 2 weight classes to fight Trevin Giles. I thought he won that fight. He completely out-grappled him for the majority of that fight. And that's what I keep on coming back to. If Roman Dolidze just goes, I'm a grappler this fight, I think he can dominate Trevin Giles, and I don't think this is a very close fight. If he goes out there, really dedicates himself to his judo, works those head and arm throws, and gets this fight to the mat, I think he should dominate. My question is he going to stay dedicated enough to a game plan like that Because if he does stand on the feet, I know I said Trevin Giles might not be the person to take advantage of his wild strikes, but he does have decent pop in his hands, and if Roman does get himself really out of position trying to throw a big bomb, he can get cracked with a counter shot.
You just contradicted yourself, but I won't focus on it. My point is, if you look at the stat lines for these guys, you can only focus on one and not on the other. Because for Roman Dolidze, you have a very limited sample size. You have the John Allen fight that was back and forth, but really, Dolidze did quite a bit in that one. And then you look at the fight against Hadis Ibrahimov, and he gets a big finish win in that one. So, the stat line, while it is mostly nice, you just don't need to pay much attention to it. But if you do look for Trevin Giles, and again, the question marks start to creep in because Zach Cummins submitted him, Joe Mearshart submitted him, he has a close fight against James Krause, win or lose.
Gets out grappled.
You do worry about it. And then you look at the Pavon Lewis fight, and he looks amazing. I mean, Trevin Giles had great head movement in that one. He had happy, active hips. He had very good takedown defense. And so far in the UFC, 80% takedown defense. And he's been around long enough. You know, you go back to the Antonio Braga Nieto fight that he had, the 2 losses, Krause-Lewis. It still adds up. You also look at the wins that he had on the regional scene. He beat Brennan Allen. He beat Ike Villanueva. He beat Ryan Spann. Like, he's fought very good competition. And you talk about the differences in the metrics. Strikes landed per minute, 3.57 to 1.83 absorbed. 64% defense, 57% striking accuracy. I'm telling you, those are good numbers. 87% takedown accuracy, too. On paper, Trevin Giles is a very good and economical fighter. And if you watch it in practice, the one thing that bugs me, and I think, listen, it's not an easy fix and nobody's ever going to overcome it overnight. If Trevin Giles threw a little bit more volume to really kind of mask some of his power shots, he'd have a great opportunity in this division.
Oh, he would, but again, you can't focus on just the takedown defense numbers. Look at him grappling when he does get to the mat. He's bad. He is not a good grappler whatsoever, and he's not going to getting back up to his feet.
He can get better.
He can, but again, you're focusing on the fact that he has 80% takedown defense and using that as, oh, he's good at defending takedowns, so therefore his grappling defense must be all right. It is not. And I know we haven't seen Roman Dolidze really use a grappling-heavy style in his fights yet, but if he does stay dedicated to the takedown, if James Krause can consistently out-grapple you for not only minutes but rounds of a fight, Roman Dolidze should be able to replicate that exact same game plan.
Now, let's talk Roman Dolidze and about the fight style. So, the guy wings power shots like they're nothing. He throws out little teeps. He doesn't really throw much for a leg kick. He will crack to the body as well if he wants to go all-out psycho. He's got good hands, but again, he's a very, very happy-handed power puncher of a grappler. And it's just a weird mix. Again, I am so worried about the cardio in this one because he's never fought at middleweight in his pro career. He grappled way up at about 218 pounds, 99 kgs plus. And then he fought at heavyweight, light heavyweight. Now we're here at middleweight, training, living in the States at Extreme Couture. So it's going to be an interesting one. Now, if we look at the Topology votes, overwhelmingly Dolidze. 682 total votes, 81% Dolidze, 62% by knockout. Do you know Roman Dolidze? If we look at the odds, Matt, listen, Giles open at plus 130. He's now plus 115. For Dolidze, open minus 150. Now at about a minus 141. So the odds are closing in. Giles is gaining. The fans have Roman Dolidze, who I would say at this point starting to gain a bit of the fan favorite type of style for his fights. What do you think as far as his fight's concerned?
It's a dangerous fight for Dolidze, but again, this is a good matchup for him because Giles doesn't have the type of power that's going to put you out for making one mistake. He can hurt you, he can clip you, but as long as you don't go out from that initial shot, you should still be able to stay in the fight. And for Dolidze, I don't like how wild his striking is, but I do think if he can get this fight to the mat and really force Giles to work, I do think you'll be able to tire Giles out to make it so that your cardio, I guess, disadvantage won't be that big of a disadvantage in the fight. So I like Roman Dolidze in this fight.
I'm going to take the over 1.5 rounds, and if I didn't have to make a pick, I wouldn't. So yeah, over 1.5 rounds, and if you really want the pick, Roman Dolidze is a great grappler. I think he has a good opportunity, but I don't like him as the favorite. I think Giles has as good of an opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if this opened as a pick'em. I'll take Dolidze, but I do not love him in this one. So my official pick, over 1.5 rounds. I'm going with that. You're going with?
Roman Dolidze. I'll say who I think's going to win.
I'm going over 1.5 rounds. Matt's going with Roman Dolidze. It's a fight night picks first. I've got Dolidze too. But overall, really looking forward to this fight and this entire card. In your main event, also middleweight, Derek Brunson taking on Kevin Holland. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt, as we always say. Let's get into it.